Continues now on BBC Two, and London may have won the bid, but they haven't won everyone's hearts.
The International Olympic Committee has the honor of announcing that the Games of the 30th Olympiad in 2012 are awarded to the City of London.
It will be a fantastic opportunity to show what we are capable of as a capital city.
The Olympics is a catalyst for the rebirth of the whole of the East End of London.
There is not a day to lose, not a day to waste.
London's Olympic Park is to be built in the heart of the East End, on nearly 700 acres of neglected land at a cost of over £9 billion. The Stratford site is to become home to several world-class stadia, a media centre and an Olympic village to accommodate 17,000 athletes. But before construction begins, the land must be cleared of businesses, homes, and a century-old allotment society. And not everyone is happy about this.
All the pent-up and potential value that's in this land is basically being stolen from us now to be used for 2 weeks of sport.
Well, I'm very sad about the fact that the place I live is going to be demolished. I think it's completely unnecessary.
This site's been here for over 100 years. They can't just sweep us away as though we don't matter. It's just not fair.
The man with the overall vision for the Olympic Park and in charge of the design is Jason Pryor, the master planner.
We were given the whole Lee Valley to look at to start with. The entire valley was up for grabs, but it became obvious pretty quickly that the sort of northern end of the lower Lee Valley should be where we'd be looking. I suppose it's a piece of land that's been everyone's backyard for years. You know, the rivers were the conveyors of sewage and waste, not really seen as rivers. The canals were for moving heavy transport, heavy goods, and the land was in effect, it's a landfill site. Most people involved could see that the Games were of huge benefit to London and huge benefit to change. But of course they're sitting there saying, well, of course, I think this is a great idea, but that's my allotment.
Right in the middle of the master planner's current designs lies the Manor Garden Allotment Society.
Well, indeed, you can grow vegetables anywhere. It is really the site, the situation. You come through an industrial wasteland to get here of scrapyards, rubbish tips, fly tipping. Then you come through the gate and you could be in the country. Most people don't know we're here. The borough we're in didn't know we were here. If you get out your A to Z and look at this area, it's all white. You think there's nothing on here. There's a cycle track on here, there's the allotments on here, there's a traveller's site at the end here. And there's a nature reserve at this end, full of newts. But if you're a developer, I suppose you could see this as being a blank, because we're in the way of the Olympics.
The Allotment Society is trying to make a case to be incorporated into the new Olympic Park. The press and public have been invited to the site to bolster support for the campaign to stay.
He should come here, Livingstone, and see it. I defy anyone to come here, and as I did today, I expected totally different, a rather, you know, when you come outside, I'm not being rude about Hackney around here,
far away,
but it's a dreadful sort of wasteland. And you come here, wow! I went, have I come to the right place?
But it was described as a dreadful wasteland in the Evening Standard when we first got the bid. And, well, it isn't a dreadful wasteland.
No, it's beautiful.
We don't want to stop the Olympics. I mean, the Olympics could be a good thing for the area, but the area needs to be taken into full consideration. I'd like Sebastian Coe to come up here and talk to us and find out what he's doing to us when it really isn't necessary. It really isn't necessary.
Very nice to see you all here today. Part of the event is we're going to have 3 speakers. And the first of our speakers here is Mr. Michael Whale. He seems to have a foot in each camp. He's a sports writer, but also seems to run a society for the preservation of allotment societies.
The allotments are part of British history. You're bringing people from all over the world to this area. Let them come and see what we're made of, our heritage. It was 3 years ago, I think, Ken Livingstone, the mayor and defender of the London Development Agency, he said, we will back open spaces in London. Well, let him come down here and see these wonderful allotments. I've never seen them before. They're brilliant. You're brilliant. Fight the fight.
It's not just the allotment holders up in arms about the plans. 420 residents of the Clays Lane Housing Cooperative have also been told they must move on to make way for the Olympic Village and the Velodrome complex.
There's an old landfill site, and according to the evidence provided by the LDA, it's a high risk to human health. It's actually in a chart they've produced, and it's also on their plans. It's all coloured in red, which we've been living on for 25 years, but which they've shown no concern about so far. But they're going to remediate it for the Olympics. The people are going to live here for about a month. For a month.
Clays Lane was built as social housing for single people in a cooperative model. Each person paid £1 a share to become a tenant.
I mean, this is actually the only place I've ever really called home. I came here because I was effectively homeless because of my health and so on. So it is quite a wrench to be kicked out of this place, because I had no intention of moving, absolutely none at all. We are living right next door to a very nice piece of open ground. It's part of the Eastway cycle track, but it's available for people to walk on. It's a wild open space. The LDA, of course, describes this as sort of poor ground, because it's an old rubbish tip and so on, and they're not impressed. I mean, I think it's an advantage to be living here right next door to a piece of ground like that.
What's actually going to happen to your house?
Well, it'll be reduced to rubble. There'll be a big bulldozer come along, and that'll be the end of it. This is a massive infrastructure project, and infrastructure projects do hurt people in the way they operate. They always knock people aside. But it is a juggernaut in the sense that it is a politically driven programme. It receives support at every level of government. We can't see any bit of the process that is really arguing very clearly for us.
We had a community at Clays Lane Estate at the top end of the Olympic Park, and the ground conditions, the tips that surrounded that, were all going to have to be taken out, remediated and put back in again. So to sit down and talk to a community about losing your homes, and a community that, was obviously very settled. It wasn't the normal structure of a residential community. It was a special place, but it was incredibly special to the people who live there. There's no way that somebody like I can stand there and say, this isn't a great place to live. If the people who live there think it's a great place to live, that can only be their call. It's what my job was to do was to place it in the position of both the games and the opportunities it might open up in the future in terms of what we might do with this area.
By 2006, the London Development Agency, or LDA, has secured 94% of the land it requires by negotiation. A public inquiry will now decide whether it's legal for them to acquire the rest of it by compulsory purchase order, or CPO.
My name is David Rose. I'm a chartered town planner, and I have been appointed as one of the inspectors to conduct this inquiry into the London Development Agency, Lower Lee Valley, Olympic and Legacy Compulsory Purchase Order 2005. Mr. Roots, could I invite you to call your witness for this afternoon, please?
Are you Sebastian Coe, Chairman of the London Organising Committee for the Olympic Games?
I am.
It was inevitable that hosting the Olympic Games would involve a significant amount of new development in the area chosen for the main facilities. It was against this background that the Lower Lee Valley emerged as the favoured location for the main facilities. The Stratford and Channel Tunnel link, existing investment in the area, potentially... Only East London was capable of staging a Games. There was nowhere else in London to do it. We've had sort of numerous arguments and endless arguments about whether we could have gone to North London or South. Actually, that parcel of land was available only over a time-limited period. There was already levels of investment that was going in, and a number of things came together at the same time to make this really the only viable possibility of bringing the Games to this city. In conclusion, staging the London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games should not only be about creating a wonderful sports festival. We want to regenerate and revitalise a deprived part of London. In order for there to be efficient transport and security, so athletes can be competitors, not commuters, I hope very much that we are granted access to all the land in the Lower Lee Valley that our plans require.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Just
you.
wait there may be some questions for you.
Yes, my name's Julian Chain. I'm a resident at Clays Lane. You say athletes must be competitors, not commuters. If I remember rightly, I think somewhere else you refer to 20 minutes as being a sort of period that people should be, the maximum that people should be expected to travel when they...
No, that's actually, no, in fairness, that is now what we have achieved. 80% within 20 minutes travel time, and 50% within, hopefully, walking distance.
Right, but the point I want to make is that effectively this means that people like myself will have to move so that a group of athletes don't have to walk more than 20 minutes. And for a period of, 1 month, I'm going to have to leave a house which I lived in for 11 years, and I'm going to have to move out of that house so that people don't have to walk too far.
No, I think that would be... I think that would be a little disingenuous.
The purpose of my objections were to raise doubts in the inspector's mind, make him feel more sympathetic to our situation, concern about the way in which the LDA prepared for things, and therefore to make him more inclined to insist that conditions are applied to the CPO. The concern about the demolition of Clays Lane could result in one of two things. It could mean that Clays Lane wasn't demolished, and that might be an outcome. I'm actually quite happy to stay living here. If that isn't going to happen, then obviously the backup position is that we do receive a good deal. So, unfortunately, when you're making objections, it's always a bit of a sort of lottery. You have to make the objections across the board, really, in order to make the case. That, hopefully, gives you more leverage in your discussions with the LDA in terms of the kind of deal they're prepared to give you.
Manor garden allotments were laid out over 100 years ago by local philanthropist Major Villiers. On his deathbed, he bequeathed the site in perpetuity to plot holders, but now they've been told that the promise has no legal standing. So far, their protests have made little impact on the LDA's plans to move them from the park.
There wasn't really any chance to talk about, is it possible for us to stay? Can you build it around us? You know, can you incorporate us into the design? That was our stance from the beginning, to say, right, okay, let's start talking about this design, and why don't you involve us in the master plan? And we began to ask from the very beginning, you know, can we speak to the master planners? This is the allotments in the Olympic Park. That's where we're situated. So it's just footpaths, really, across to where all the activity is.
There's factories in the way, obviously, and they've got to go. But surely you could do 2 or 3 pathways through this place and lose just about 3 or 4 allotments, and quite easy do it. Quite easy do it. No bother at all. I should imagine foreigners coming over would love to see something like this. This time of the year as well, when it's all growing, it's... Oh.
With the pressure to leave the site mounting, the allotment holders call a meeting to discuss their strategy.
That's the key.
This is where it all happened.
I'm the elected secretary of the association. Not done much secretarying this year, unfortunately. And Julie's been, the assistant secretary, has been doing most of it. Presumably she'll still do it today at the meeting. No minutes, we haven't got any minutes.
I'm afraid we've no minutes for the last meeting because I've been away on holiday and I'm the person who writes them.
No, it's just a month ago.
I usually write
No, I wasn't taking the minutes at the last one, Julie was. But I can remember a few things.
I can circulate them quite soon, you know, but yeah, did you want to raise anything from the last minutes that you can remember?
We don't know what was in the last minutes. How can you raise anything?
Yeah, we can only remember what went on.
Is it that you would prefer to just go quietly, shut up shop over the next few months and not make any issue out of it? Or is it that you would prefer to continue on with the efforts to try and influence the London Development Agency to try to persuade them to keep us here? Can we start with you?
I've spoken to people that keep going over and having a look at the new site, and they don't seem to be doing anything on it at all. So are they as enthusiastic as they make out they are?
I don't think we should give it up yet. You know, just keep fighting, and right to the end, you know, there could be a light at the end of the tunnel, you know. I'm not here to leave here, really.
You can't argue with them. When they decide that they want this land, they'll have this land.
Take it.
Hassan's next, isn't he?
Hassan next, yeah.
We don't want to move, we want to stay, so we're going to fight to stay.
Been up here 40-ish years, like, you know. I don't want to move.
To use all those opinions, thinking about how we represent the views of the majority of plot holders, because it's our job, we're democratically elected, and it's our job to represent the people up here, the majority of whom, like the majority in this room, are saying we don't want to move, and so we would like that view represented to the LDA.
What have you done today that make you feel proud? Yeah, we need to change. Yeah, what have you done today to make you feel proud?
But the concerns of East London's vegetable growers are far from the minds of the organisers of London 2012, who are celebrating the first anniversary of winning the bid.
What have you done today to make you feel proud?
We couldn't have nudged across the line in Singapore without you. We won together, we can deliver this together, and we made history together.
Government has now agreed it should be the heart of a real long-term regeneration of 30 to 40,000 new homes. Prime Minister, thank you for what you did for London.
And to you, to the people from this country, but also the people from many, many different parts of the world who are here today, thank you for coming here now. Just think what it's going to be like in 2012. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Tony Blair, Tessa Giles,
The budget of £9 billion has been allocated to build an Olympic Park for 2012, as well as ensuring a long-term future for the area, creating the first large park in London since Victorian times. And the Olympic Village is to be converted into over 3,000 homes once the Games have finished.
There are two projects going on here. There is the Olympics, and every country wants to hold a great Olympics. But there is the city project. And whilst it's hugely important that we deliver for the IOC on the obligations we set, frankly, the city project, in my mind, is more important in the long term. We could hold a great party in 2012. If we don't get it right, if people are looking back from 2015, 2020, and we've screwed this up, then that would have been a terrible mistake. So in putting the bid together, most of your engagement from our side is with the surrounding communities, with political leaders in London, with central government, and you've got to be pretty damn sure you're going to be able to deliver. There is no point over-promising on these things in terms of the out-term position. So you need to be very careful. The piece of land has been this sort of extraordinary, almost rent in the fabric of London. This is classic sort of frontier territory in any city, and it's always at those edge conditions that things are changing and new elements thought about. I mean, this has been a landscape of great invention from plastics to valves to TV sets to you name it, it's happened here. This has been an extraordinary place, but in effect that time of industrial presence has moved on.
On the site of the main Olympic Stadium is a family-owned fish factory which has provided smoked salmon to the luxury end of the market for the last 100 years. This factory is one of 300 businesses that is being compelled to move from the Olympic site. Owner and Managing Director Lance Foreman has been negotiating hard with the LDA to find him suitable new premises.
Do they pay for that or do we pay for that?
He has 6 months left at the old site and now gives tours of the factory before it's demolished.
So at the moment, if you look at this map here, that yellow patch there, that's where we are now. So you're actually now sitting in the royal box of the main stadium. So got in here before Prince Charles. So we're right in the heart of the main stadium. Our new place is there, just on the edge of the paper, and that's a sort of 2-3 minute walk. It's 150 metres from here, indeed. It's taken 3 years to move 150 metres. So I hope our athletes can do better than that. It's not going to be very good. So that's hopefully where we'll be. We have got 6 months to do that. That's a 2-year project, really, but we've got to be out of here by July the 2nd. The sad thing is that we actually did a deal with the London Development Agency about 2 years ago on another site. They completely reneged on it because they never thought London was going to win the Olympic bid. So they were just sort of talking, but they weren't really committed to helping any of the businesses. And now we're in this ridiculous situation where, of course, it's a mad rush. It's all going to cost a lot more than it needed to have done. But that's where we are. At the end of the day, this is just a land grab by Ken Livingstone and the London government, because this land has immense latent value. And there are businesses that have been in this street for 40, 50, 60, Brundle's round the corner, 115 years. People have been in this area for years and years and years, and it was just about to take off. Stratford City, the largest urban development in the whole of Europe, just about to happen. The Channel Tunnel rail link, just about to happen. And just as the land values are about to shoot up, whoosh, they come along and say, we'll have a piece of that, and they take it. And they destroy the largest area of manufacturing industry in the whole of London, destroy it.
The reality is that people have been consulted to death about the issues of this part of London, consulted to death about the need for change. I think what was interesting about this, as everyone realised, was that you make your thoughts clear, but something is going to happen. And, there we are. They're out on site, it's happening. Great pain has been felt by a lot of people, but I think there's also a realisation that great things will come from it.
After over 2 years of negotiation, Lance has secured a deal with the London Development Agency to build him a new factory opposite the proposed site of the Olympic Stadium.
It was like a game of poker. The stakes were very high, but in the end they caved before we did, and we ended up sort of shaking hands on a deal.
Do you think there's an element where they might think that you've done rather well for yourself?
We've landed a prime site, but so have they. Without my site, they wouldn't have had a running track.
The new factory is significantly bigger than the old one and is being built entirely to Lance's own design specifications.
Pink. That's perfect. That is very good. Perfect. That's a nice bit of smoked wild salmon. That is not the farm stuff, that's smoked wild salmon colour. Natural, organic, beautiful. That's quality concrete. The LDA were very amused because they thought it was highly appropriate that we were moving to Fish Island. So, of course, I said, well, not nearly as appropriate as their recent relocation to the Isle of Dogs.
It's raining a lot. Well, we've got the Director of Development of the Olympics for the LDA, Gareth Blacker, coming if he braves the weather to see us. And, the plan is really to show him around the site and introduce him to some plot holders so that they can have their say about, what they think about what's happening. And to hope he has an open mind so that we can talk to him about our ideas for this site, for incorporating the allotments into the Olympics. Perseverance, I think, is the message. Did you bring your wellies? Hello. Karen? Hi, I'm Julie.
Nice weather for
Would you
it.
like a stroll around before we...
Have a little bit of a look.
Yeah, before we go and meet the community. I feel very passionate about it, you know, because...
Yes, I'm sure.
I mean, you know, don't you? You know. I mean, you know what it means to people. You know, it's their lives. And some people can't start again. They're too old to start again, you know. And yet they're the mainstays as well of the community because they've been here for so long.
To move this is a colossal effort on your part, isn't it?
Well, to move everything is a colossal effort. To be honest, moving the allotments is probably one of the easiest things.
We was hoping that if you could leave us here, I mean, the amount of money to move this lot would be phenomenal. You could spend less tidying the edges, leaving us alone. Leaving us wouldn't be wasteful or disadvantageous.
It's not the principle of leaving it, it's the practicality of doing it. It's not as simple as just leaving this little bit. The knock-on effects both ways would be very, very significant.
Of
and then
flooding?
No, just the land reprofiling.
The whole park has been designed as, you know, as a system, if you like. So
I think certainly saw there is definitely a community here, and I think my colleagues who've been working with them closely over the last 6 or 7 months have always said that, and I think it's just brought that home to me myself. But in terms of the actual practicalities, it's to try and explain that it is very difficult, if not impossible, to stay on this site. My feeling was that there's a range of views. I think some people see the upheaval as too much. I think there's maybe a general distrust, perhaps, of public bodies and actually bringing people back. And part of it might be us demonstrating over the coming months that the relocation and, probably even more important, the commitment to bring people back and involving people in that sort of planning early on will maybe help people, you know, start to trust that it is going to happen.
I suppose it's Chelsea playing Leyton Orient. Money against nothing, really.
Well, thank you very, very much for coming. You know, I appreciate you're extremely busy and you've given a lot of time to this, so very appreciative.
Okay.
no trouble at all.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the ranch.
I lost umbrella, I'm afraid.
There's your party bag.
Oh,
some veg. Let me guide you out. Yeah. So the car, where's your car parked?
Vince? Yes, it's the 7th.
So can you stay?
No, I don't think so. They've already put together their plan to Waltham Forest for the land over at Marsh Lane, and if things go according to their plan, which they know how long these things take, they said they could have the place built and ready for us to move to by March. And March is the beginning of the year for the Allotment Society. You begin digging and planting stuff. So that's, you know, it's not 100%, as they said, but they think it is going to go through. It is going to go through with Waltham Forest.
After 4 months, the public inquiry has ended, and the Secretary of State must now decide if the compulsory purchase order is legal.
Future of 80 businesses hangs in the balance after London 2012 Olympic planners received powers to evict them, so CPO is granted. Small businesses representing 850 workers have not yet agreed to move from Nan in Stratford. Doesn't mention anything about residents. They can now be evicted under compulsory purchase orders confirmed by Industry Secretary Alistair Darling. I mean, it would have been absolutely astonishing, frankly, if the minister hadn't granted it. I mean, the whole thing is really quite funny. I mean, it is just a bit of a joke, and that is part of the problem, is that you go into this thing and you want to take it seriously and you want to present reasonable arguments and you want to say these things have not been done properly, and then you think, is there any chance he's not going to give the CPO? No.
Demolition is about to begin on the industrial area, and the whole site is now off limits to the general public.
Well, today's the day they officially close off this road, and all the businesses are now supposed to be out of this area so that they can start the demolition works for the Olympic, the Olympic Park, the Olympic Stadium and so on. We're not ready to move out yet because the new factory that we're building won't be ready until late August, possibly early September. So we have to stay here. But if they do come and try and kick us out, well, I guess we'll tie ourselves to the fences and slap them around the face with wet fish or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to work something out. It's a very uncertain period for us, very difficult.
With the compulsory purchase order granted, the LDA waste no time in taking the keys from the other businesses on Marshgate Lane.
Gareth Blacker, he's the main man at the London Development Agency. He's the decision taker. He's a difficult fellow.
Well, once again, thank you very much, Gareth. There are the keys. Take good care of them, and the best of luck.
Good luck in the new site. They've already taken about a third of the site and are working on it. I think if you drive around, you can see that. And by the end of the month, they'll be in possession of probably 97–98% of the site.
And in terms of, I suppose, the controversy around the site, would have been those who campaigned to be able to stay here. Are you happy you can move people out amicably and within budget?
We're certainly going to be within budget. CPO, compulsory purchase orders, it's not a easy process, but we're reaching an awful lot of sort of full and final settlements with businesses, and we're confident it's going to go smoothly over the next few weeks.
The LDA plan is to relocate the allotment holders to common land in nearby Waltham Forest, but they've come up against some unexpectedly fierce resistance.
The land, our ancient Lammas land. The land, the ground on which we stand. We will not be robbed when there's a ballot in our hand. This is the land of the people. Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay! They're giving our land away!
The newly formed Lammas Land Defence Committee is objecting to proposals to move the allotments to Waltham Forest on the grounds that they think it's Lammas land, land that cannot be fenced in so that people can roam free.
This is all our green open space, which is historically ours. It is one of the very few precious green lungs left, and particularly it will go on being one of the very few, even fewer precious green lungs, the way that the Olympics people want to keep taking open spaces. And it is a place where the people who live in cities like to go out and get some exercise, walk the dogs, play with the kids. There's lots of safe space for the families around here who have children who can come out and play on the fields on Sunday afternoons or after school in the summer or in the holidays, and are nicely away from the traffic, and it's all nice green open space, and of course nice and flat for playing the football on. So the more we lose of that, this is bad for the local residents as well.
The allotment holders, already unhappy about being turfed off their land, are now anxious that there may be nowhere for them to go.
So on the new site, I was at a meeting representing us at Waltham Forest Town Hall on Monday, where there was the head of planning, a councillor, and a senior member of the legal department. And what they've said is that, to their knowledge so far, there is no planning application from the LDA
Well, then we've got to get in touch with the LDA,
being
haven't we?
submitted to them for that new piece of land that they want to relocate us to. The local people, there was a public meeting held in Waltham Forest, which was partly why the council set up this meeting, including myself and the Lammas Land people and the athletics club.
Can I ask why none of us were informed about this meeting? I'd like to know why none of us were informed about this meeting.
This fight on your own or with your own 2 or 3 representatives and not us, because you feel that we aren't.
We're against it, I think.
All right, I tell you, the reason why it's always ending up with me is because I'm on email and because I'm putting a lot of time into making phone calls and so on to find out what's going on. So that's why it always comes back to me again. And it's unfortunate, you know, I really wish the information could be much more shared and we could all participate in it.
Exactly. We don't want someone shouting off all on their own.
It's madness the way things are going. We never get, most of our meetings, we never get nothing in black and white. Nothing comes back in writing, does it, like?
We should get some of these ideas in writing that they keep on about.
It's all minuted, John. Every time they say something, it's minuted.
You can't get involved if you're not informed.
Can I just say
the minutes of every meeting posted up somewhere.
Well, I did start posting all the minutes of the meetings up with the LDA, but they seem to have disappeared. Yeah.
You should take your own minutes.
That's right, yeah. These are the minutes of all the meetings up until when I went sick.
It's partly that.
You're doing a good job, Julie, don't get me wrong.
But you have to put us all in.
I mean, the secretary don't know, I don't know, John don't know, Bill don't know what's happening.
What the LDA are asking is for a larger number of us to get together to meet with them to plan in finer detail the new site. Personally, I think that's jumping the gun because to go back to what I was saying that came up at the meeting on Monday, they haven't established yet the legal basis of the land that they want to move us to. So they don't know yet whether it's Lammas land, common land, or public open space. And all 3 of those things have different legal rights attached to them. And because they haven't yet even established how the land, what the legal status of the land is, we don't know whether planning permission can be given yet for that.
Have we got any councillors or any MP on our side?
Well, she got.
Well, have you? I've been doing a lot of work on that, but have you?
She's got the lady from the London Assembly. Now, should I minute that? In the meantime, I suggest that we should get a meeting with the LDA anyway. Before October. Maybe the end of this month sometime.
Well, I wonder whether we ought to bring our AGM forwards as well into September.
October, isn't it?
It's in the rules, yeah.
Originally, the plan had been for some of the occupants of Clay's Lane Cooperative to move as a group. But as time marches on, people are accepting individual deals. Julian is hanging on in the hope of moving as part of a smaller group.
There's a lot more boards.
Oh yeah, the place is empty. No question about it. I mean, I reckon probably about half of people have gone. Maybe not quite as many as that, but I think in our courtyard about half have gone. This community has simply been torn apart. This is going to get more and more stressful. People are seeing their friends move out and all the rest of it. There was no kind of support mechanism. There was no organisation to make this large group move happen. The LDA didn't have a programme to make this happen. Our group has survived largely, again, because we have taken a lot of time, and it was all down to tenants to do this.
We've got to try to stop this. I mean,
The Lammas Land Defence Committee is still insisting that the land for the proposed allotments is theirs. But the LDA has reassured the plot holders that this isn't the case.
Yes, over there.
We're getting a very different views on the use of the land over there, the current use of it and its legal status. The boundaries of Lammas land are not yet established over there, so they can't be absolutely cut and dried that this is not Lammas land yet. That's still being mapped. That's not the message that we're getting from LDA. So there's just a lot of, areas that need clarifying.
Julie and the committee are meeting with the LDA to discover who has the right to use the land.
what we have demonstrated at this particular land that we wish to use for the allotments is not Lammas land. And we've demonstrated that, and we've got a legally robust argument for that. I mean, we've said this to you before, that we're confident, and, you know, if I come to these meetings and tell you things, you know, if I say I'm confident, you know, I'm not just making it up, you know, it is, you know, we do make sure that our arguments are robust.
But the status of that land, it could be common land or it could be open public land.
It's metropolitan open land, which is a planning designation. The use of allotments is compatible with metropolitan open land. So there's no legal impediment to relocating the allotments there.
Well, he said he hopes everything goes through, and he's almost certain it will.
He hopes.
We'll see. I'll tell you what, I can see you've been strung in one of them trees yet, John.
Yeah, I'm going to form a committee up in the trees, everyone.
Going to be a swampy.
We'll hold it up, cost them £1 million, we'll hold it up.
With only a handful of people left on the site by July 2007, the LDA celebrate the official handover of the land to the Olympic Delivery Authority, who are responsible for designing and building the Olympic venues.
The transformation of this area really begins in earnest now.
Do you think that symbolically this is a real sense today of things are really getting started?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, the International Olympic Committee were very complimentary in their observations a couple of weeks ago when they were with us. We are ahead of the game. This is a challenging project. This is a challenging site to develop. Out with the old, in with the new, and into the construction phase.
Thank you.
Coming down.
It's great. It's great. I mean, this is it's taken us 2 years to get to this point, and we were so determined to come out of Singapore having won the right to stage the games and just get out of the traps as quickly as we can. And the reason for doing that is not because you simply want to be able to say, well, we're ahead of where any other city's been, although that's quite comforting. It's actually to get hold of the venues so that we're able to test them and turn them into world-class venues, with all the thinking that has to go on at the same time for making sure that there's a sensible life afterwards for local people in the way they use those facilities.
Do you feel like you've really handed over the baton today?
Yes. I mean, you're seeing it here now, some demolition work going on. I mean, it has actually been happening for a few months already, but I think today, even in the last week or so, since all the roads have closed, you can see buildings coming down, and the scale of work on the site is really, really ramped up. So I think we have reached a genuine stage now that we are into the construction element of the project.
Aye, they're giving our land away. Save the marshes. Save the marshes.
Oh, marshes, leave them.
The fate of the allotment holders rests in the hands of a small group of local councillors at Waltham Forest Town Hall.
A statement on the recent results from the Lammas Lands Defence Committee of the Save Marshall Aid Fields campaign. If anybody hasn't heard, it was 3 in favour of the application and 5 against. It has been booted out, for now at least, on the grounds of the visual impact and the loss of openness. Well, some common sense has come to the fore. I only wish that common sense had come to a bit before we wasted all these taxpayers' money on such a stupid scheme. The LDA and the ODA, London's Olympic Destruction Agencies, apparently interchangeable and equally odious organisations, will surely now have to put the not invented here syndrome behind them and take seriously the Manor Gardening Society's own proposals, far better than anything that they might achieve by shunting them off to Marsh Lane. Sing a song of open space and sing it far and wide. Trojan Lammas rights and justice on our side. Let the voice of reason thunder all this loony tide. This is the land of the people.
loss of new site is the only thing on the agenda. I thought you three were all going to tell us as we walk through the door, but Julie, tell us.
Well, the planning application for Marsh Lane's been refused.
Well, in that case, we don't move. Simple as that.
So it was refused on the I believe, I've talked to a couple of people who were at the meeting, on the grounds of loss of public open space and visual intrusion. I think there might have been another reason, but I don't know what that was.
What's visual intrusion?
Well, these big fences, it's supposed to be open ground, so the fences, I saw, yeah.
All we can do on Monday is go in and
see what's going on.
What happens now?
What happens now? Well,
which you've assured us for months and months.
99% for 2 years,
yes.
he's been telling us.
They were very confident, weren't they?
So confident. He said 99%.
No, that's right.
Confident that we were going to get him.
Well, I think the other thing we need to know, we need to really press them on, is when are you planning to evict us now? Because there is no reason for them to delay, is there?
It won't be easy now.
It's not about getting a new site ready, so there's no reason for them to delay.
Yeah.
They might want to evict us.
We'll have to wait till Monday and see what they're going to come up with, won't we?
We can't make a move until
we can't say anything until then.
I'd be very interested to see Vincent's face on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the bulldozers closing in, the LDA have been invited by the allotment holders to a meeting to discuss their move. Unexpectedly, the Lammas Land Defence Committee has turned up to support them in their now hopeless case to stay on at Manor Gardens. But their presence isn't welcome.
Okay, we're trying to make some more appropriate banners.
Manor Gardens must stay.
The LDA will not be here because of this.
Have you spoken to them?
Yep. They rang me on Friday, said they're not coming. So I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all.
What were they meant to be talking to you about today?
Well, try and explain what's going on. Let the people on, let our members ask questions. But now they're not going to be here, there'll be no questions, will there?
I want to argue to stay. I don't have any answers, you know. I'm in the same place as you lot. I feel very, very sad about what's happening. Sometimes I go up there and I feel distraught when I see the bulldozers out there. But it seems to me that the only way forward right now is to keep exposing what's happening. And it's very interesting that the LDA have decided that they are not going to be here to be answerable, you know.
The position we are actually in with these plots is, for their last meeting with the LDA, we haven't got a plot to move to. But they're reapplying tomorrow for the plot again, same place. And you know how slowly this grinds on. They said it could take a year. So that's a year out of the allotment life we've lost, at least. The new position is the LDA will supply us with a yard and lockups, and we can put all of our tools and belongings into these lockups. And that is where we stand at the moment. We're in a limbo.
Weather permitting, we're all going to form ourselves into a large five for 5 years to go in this monsoon nation that we're living in.
Lord Coe is on site for a photo opportunity to mark the 5-year countdown to the opening of the London 2012 Games. Demolition of the Marsh Gate Lane trading estate is well underway, but Lance Foreman's new smoked salmon factory is still not ready, and he's not moving until it is.
Well, I think we're the only business operating now. It's like the last stand at the Alamo. Oh, they hate me. They absolutely hate me. I think they must have thought when they first moved into this area that, you know, there are a bunch of stupid businessmen out there that will just sort of keel over and go away the minute we compulsory purchase their land. I don't think they expected the fight that they got. You know, I'm not anti the Olympics. You know, I think, you know, done properly, the Olympics should be good for the country. But I believe in fair play.
Everything is about relocation now. Relocate it from there to there, so then they can relocate it from there to there, and then they can relocate it from the van into the storage, and then we can relocate ourselves back to our new emergency flats while we wait to be relocated to our temporary flats, and then relocated to our permanent flats. So, and in the meantime, we may relocate ourselves. Well, we will relocate ourselves temporarily to the country for a couple of weeks, and we might also relocate ourselves to a dim sum restaurant or something like that. Hi, Aaron. While we, you know, get on with the rest of our lives and studiously ignore the Olympics.
It's the last weekend at Manor Gardens before the bulldozers move in. For some of the older allotment holders who've been here for over 50 years, it's the end of an era.
You're fighting the government, aren't you? That's, you know, you put up a good fight, but you can't beat them people. They made their mind up. The meetings we had when they said, they're so beautiful you can incorporate this into the Olympics. We were willing to lose quite a few plots, you know, with pathways, and made it look really, really beautiful up here. But no, it's got to be flattened. Right down to the riverbank. All those beautiful trees on that riverbank. That's what gets me. When I stop and look at that river and I look down at it. And old Major Villas used to do that. Many a time he's been on the bridge looking home and he said, "Do you know, mister?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You could go halfway around the world and you can't see a beautiful picture like that."
You know what, this is about 1950s. Is that?
They've started. The windows are out. I'm sure they're taking immense pleasure in this. But with most other buildings we saw them pulling down, they had about 3 or 4 of these huge chomping Tyrannosaurus rexes, and they've only got 1 with our building, so I'm guessing it must be Gareth Blacker in there. I reckon he's asked for special permission of the demolition contractors to sit in the front seat and just pull us down. I think that really is the sort of nail in the coffin for, you know, that's the end of, well, as far as they can see, that's the end of trouble with Foreman's. It's a strange old feeling. It's a strange old feeling. Oh, it's a rainbow. I'm sure there was some special significance there. Rain on the old factory, sun on the new one. There's definitely some special significance there. With Olympic colours as well. With Olympic colours. That's extraordinary.
2 years on after winning the bid, the master planner is beginning to see his dreams take shape.
Every day you come down here, it's moved on. Things change. It's incredible how, as buildings are taken down, land is pulled back, the vistas start to appear back down to the city, down the river. We've only seen this to date in digital animations that we've produced in landform models. So we've kind of lived this part of the park in a computer up to now and on physical models that we've built. But every day the the vision of this park opened up, London bought into the heart of the park through all these great view lines, all that's now starting to happen. So it's very exciting to come down here and see it happen. And I suppose to really understand the enormity of the task that lies before people to really make it.
And this is the election of the officers, because I'm going to step down now as chair, and so you're going to need a new chair. Who amongst us would be chairman?
Well, we've suggested that Julie and I share it because Julie's the transitional person and I could be a new person.
Is there any opposition? Can we vote that one in? Kath, as you're going to share the job with Julie. Secretary.
Well, I'll stay on if it's okay.
Okay, I'd like to propose Mark as secretary. Who wants to vote for Mark?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you've got 15 votes for Mark. And for Harry to stay? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Mark, you are the new secretary.
So you better come up here and take over.
He doesn't take over straight away, does he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really? Takes over in the middle?
Oh, no. That's it, finished. All the best, mate. You're going to need it.
The LDA has relocated over 400 residents and nearly 200 businesses from the site. The Waltham Forest land was clarified as public open space, and the allotment holders have now moved there. The path is now clear for the Olympic Delivery Authority to create the park of their dreams. Next week on Building the Olympic Dream.
It's a pretty minimalist stadium. That's the great thing about it, and that's something we should really promote.
This is a tight schedule, and it is a very complex and challenging site to develop.
Well, there's one cat that I know is here that I haven't got, Blackjack. He's just so elusive. I'm always one step behind him. I don't know where he is.
It was never going to be an easy relationship because it's always such a good story. And it was about the budget, then the cost of the stadium, then the cost of the aquatic centre, now the cost and the funding of the village. It's always about money. That makes such an easy story.
On the day the Bank of England pumped £2 billion into the economy, hundreds more jobs are lost. But here's something we rarely say. Is there some good news? Newsnight is at 10:30 here on BBC Two.
But before that, film and fame in QI.
There is a place on earth where beauty can become the beast. Yellowstone, a new series, Sunday at 8 on BBC Two.
It's the biggest night in comedy.
What's occurring, Pussycat?
With the biggest stars in entertainment.
I need no instruction.
Breakfast ready!
Good morning, Gary Greatest Mom.
What I think we need to work on is raising the profile.
And the biggest bands in the world.
Is it random to the match? Yeah, it's well random, guy.
Get set for the biggest laughs of the year.
I can't believe all the people involved.
All in the name of charity.
Comic Relief, Funny for Money. Friday at 7 on BBC One.
Is it weird me being here? little bit. Thought so, I'm sorry.
From the stars of Gavin and Stacey, Horn and Corden, a new sketch show. Tuesday, 10:30, BBC Three.
This is Stuart Lee. Intelligent, edgy, opinionated, perceptive, confident and provocative. But don't take our word for it. See for yourself in the new series, Stuart Lee's Comedy Vehicle, Monday at 10 on BBC Two.
Could Joan be about to settle down? Mad Men is tonight at 11:20. Now on BBC Two, a bit of glitz and glamour for you with QI.
Where tonight we're obsessed with films and fame. Parading their false modesty down the red carpet tonight are the very famous David Mitchell, the fantastically glamorous John Sessions, and hell's teeth, it's only Emma Thompson. And who's that bloke getting out of